takes on the U.S. government, describing as unfair the handling of the former finance minister in the last 8 days.
I feel sad that the U.S. can treat a Ghanaian former diplomat like that. That's all I can say. I feel very sad because I have sat with Ofori-Atta in some of the top meetings and top officials of the United States that we can find. But we're in a world where sometimes might is right. That's the sort of world that we live in now.
We have details here on Top Story, brought to you always by Telecel Connecting Energies, Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil, and also by Shield Pension Trust into the future with you. Is Top Story, as always, brought to you by Telecel Holy Insecticide Spray and Shield Pension Trust into the future with you. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace. Now, Ghana's Minister for Foreign Affairs, Samuel Ablakwa, has finally broke his silence over the arrest and detention of former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, conveying what the official position of the United States government is on this particular matter. Ken Ofori-Atta was arrested by officers of the Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE following what we now learn is his continued stay in the U.S. despite the revocation of his visa. Although it is still unclear under what circumstances his visa was revoked, information from his lawyers indicates that Mr. Ofori-Atta had applied for extension of his stay in the U.S. prior to his stay. We'll get the latest on this from the Foreign Affairs Minister shortly. But first, Ghana's ambassador to the United States, Victor Smith, had earlier told Joy News that his embassy had extended some diplomatic assistance to Ken Ofori-Atta, which was declined.
The extent of my involvement at this stage was when he had been picked up. I discussed it with the consular officers of my embassy, and we decided to make a request to make sure that he was being treated properly as the protocols, international protocols. And so we requested, and they agreed in principle to allow us to come and visit. But just before we set out, the ICE people came again and said the detainee had refused to meet with us without his lawyers. That was the initial response from the detention center. And they were going to go back to him and probably request that his lawyers appear so we can come and verify for ourselves that he's being treated fairly. But we waited for a while. After about a few hours, they came back to us to say the detainee, being the ex-minister, had refused now to see us under any circumstance. So that was the end of the road for me and the embassy.
So that was Ghana's ambassador to the United States, Victor Smith. There, Samuel Ablakwa, who is our Foreign Affairs Minister, has in a statement today made reference to this particular case. And my colleague James Aveji joins me with details of that. James, now this post is about a mirage of issues, or a myriad of issues that came up in this particular meeting between the Foreign Affairs Minister and the U.S. Ambassador. What exactly did he say about Ken and Sedina?
So, Brace, the post was on his social media accounts updating the public on a meeting that's happened between him as well as the U.S. ambassador to Ghana on a number of issues. First talks about the visa restrictions issues between Ghana and the U.S., thanking the U.S. For the U.S. president for lifting those visa restrictions that it imposed $15,000 restriction that he imposed on other countries that Ghana is not under. That went on to talk about the extension of AGOA in favor of African countries, and also talks about the moves they are making in order to fast track the visa application for Ghanaians as far as the World Cup is concerned. It is in that post that he made a one sentence announcement on what the outcome has been as far as discussions on Ofori-Atta and Sedinam has been on the issue. And he said the U.S. ambassador to Ghana has given the U.S. government assurance of no intervention or interference in any move by the government of Ghana in order to remove these two persons, both Ofori-Atta and Sedinam Tamaklo Ationu, from the United States of America. And so that's the assurance he's received from the U.S. ambassador to Ghana as far as these two issues are concerned in that particular post.
So more like there will be no objection to the decision to remove them.
Should in case the government of Ghana make any move to remove the two. What is unclear is whether the government of Ghana has initiated any of such step for such a matter to come up in such a diplomatic engagement between the two parties, for the U.S. government to give such assurance to Ghana through its ambassador to the country.
Well, this event, as it unfolds in the last 8 days, has drawn a lot of reactions from the public. And the latest to comment on this matter is former Defense Minister, who is taking on the U.S. government over what he describes as unfair treatment of the Ghanaian statesman in the last 8 days. He spoke to Evans Mensah on PM Express on Tuesday.
I feel sad that the U.S. can treat a Ghanaian former diplomat like that. That's all I can say. I feel very sad because I sat with Ofori-Atta in some of the top meetings and top officials of the United States that we can find. But we're in a world where sometimes might is right. That's the sort of world that we live in now.
So that was former Ghana's Defense Minister Dominic Nituo, but apologies for the challenges we are facing there. We have to bring that sound to you, but because of the technical difficulties, we are not able to bring that to you. We'll try our best. Now, he also went ahead to say that this serves a warning to political leaders and a call to work to develop a better infrastructure fit enough to take care of citizens and to curb the rate at which leaders run to other countries for health care. These were some of the things he said. The Dominic Nituo, Ghana's former defense minister, said to Evans Mensah on PM Express Tuesday concerning this particular developing matter. But let's take you back and try and bring you that sound in which he spoke, heavily on the U.S. government to say that what they are doing is an unfair treatment of the former Ghanaian finance minister, whom he describes as a Ghanaian statesman in the last 8 days. He spoke to Evans Mensah. Listen to him again.
A Ghanaian former diplomat like that. That's all I can say. I feel very sad because I have sat with Ofori-Atta in some of the top meetings and top officials of the United States that we can find. The highest you can find, except maybe president, not even the vice, because I have had meetings where the vice president herself was part of those meetings. The top people you could find, and they know him. I'm just sad. But we're in a world where sometimes might is right. That's the sort of world that we live in now. But for me, I feel sad. I'll leave it at that. I feel very, very sad. It's not about him. It can happen to any Ghanaian diplomat or former diplomat. And I'll feel the same way. That somebody who not that you don't know, not that he can run, not that he's a criminal that you know. Somebody who has sat with the best of the best, the most influential you can find in your system. if he's treated like this, I think it's very unfortunate, extremely unfortunate. I'm very, very sad about it. I've sat in some of the most important, with some of the most important people around the world, from Saudi Arabia to the UK to the US to Canada to where? I don't know which country I have not sat with some of the top people. And tomorrow somebody will just, because I'm in the country for some reason, catch me and put him in some facility for the fact, what crime have I committed? If I'm being accused of committing a crime in my country, have I committed a crime in the United States? Have I? What crime have I committed in the current host country in which I am staying? I feel very, very sad and emotional, but what can I do? My powers are just like the powers of a cockroach in the land of lions when you compare to what is happening. I have no power. I can only say, and then I'll leave it. What else can I do? I can only express these words. I can do anything about it. But I think that it shouldn't happen to anybody. But if I compare to what is happening around the world, to some of the most important people around the world, I can only say that I'm not surprised about the Ofori-Atta case. But we see what is happening around the world. We've seen some treatment being meted to some of the most important people in countries, where other countries, the way they treat them. So what can we do?
Well, he says this serves a warning to political leaders in Ghana and a call to work to develop a better infrastructure fit to take care of citizens and cap the rate at which leaders run to other countries for healthcare.
We can only say that we pray that God gives us life, that we live a better country for our people so that our people can remain here and be people and have a good life. That's my motivation. That some of the things that are happening, it should spur all of us as politicians and future politicians to build a better country for ourselves so that we don't have to go any other place. That is the motivation I use. Some of these things for me serve as a motivation for me that, hey, go out there and build a country for yourself. Sacrifice. Stop all the corruption. If there's any corruption that people do, sacrifice for people, work hard if you get an opportunity, give it your all, and make sure that you build a system, build a country where your people don't have to go to any other place. Because if a former minister can go through like this, then I'm wondering how other Ghanaians are going through. You can imagine those who have never had titles like this, what they are going through. And I know Ghanaians who are also being taken, not just in America, but around the world. So I can imagine what they are going through. Very dehumanizing situations that some of them are going through. If a minister, former minister or president can go through like this, what about ordinary people? So for me, take it from me, I would take this as a motivation to make sure that we build a nation for ourselves. A nation where we can be proud of, where we have what we want and what we can do. And I'm saying that we should take this as a motivation and together build. Unite and build. The fighting among the political class is too much. It's terribly too much. And it's undermining each other. We're undermining each other. The fighting is too much. We're rather creating problems for ourselves. We need to unite and build a better nation. Otherwise, things like this will continue.
This is still top story. Let's now bring in Janelle Oklu. She is a UK-based immigration lawyer to help us, with some education on this. We're grateful to you for joining. Now, what's your own understanding if the U.S. government, according to our Foreign Affairs Minister, says that they will not interfere in removing these two, Sedinam Tamaklo and Ken Ofori-Atta, from the U.S.?
Thank you very much for having me on your program this evening. And I think you mentioned UK. It's actually US. I'm a US-based immigration lawyer. Sure. So to be clear, when the United States government says that without, and I did read the foreign minister's statement, and he said, quote, without prejudice to judicial processes. Okay, they will not interfere. So now to keep in mind that when we say the United States government, we're speaking of the United States executive, okay? So meaning the US's Department of State, Department of Justice, Department of Homeland Security. However, in the United States, we have separation of powers. So whereas the executive may say that, okay, we are not going to interfere with Ghana's request to have Mr. Ofori-Atta removed back to Ghana, Mr. Ofori-Atta still has access to the courts in the United States. So it is possible that the judge who hears his case could decide to have him remain in the United States.
Now, I mean, do you get the impression that some moves must have been triggered by the Ghanaian government in this regard?
I would say I suspect so. I suspect so. Because when you consider the timing of Mr. Ofori-Atta's detention by ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, here in the United States. I mean, if you consider that first the Ghanaian government did make an extradition request to the United States. So basically requesting the United States, all right, to have Mr. Ofori-Atta sent back to Ghana for official investigation to face charges in Ghana. So in fact, these are two different processes, but they can happen in parallel. So to say that the extradition request, that is to return to Ghana to face charges in Ghana, that is one process. Separately is the possibility of a deportation process, which deportation, many people don't realize, deportation is nothing to do with a criminal. Okay, someone is deported from the US, it's a civil charge. It's simply because either they've overstayed their visa, or in this case, his visa has been canceled. And so that's why he was picked up by ICE. But I do think that to some extent, yes, there's cooperation between the two governments, Ghana government and United States government, because in many ways, the process of deportation is like, how do I say, it's more of a simple process, meaning if he doesn't have a visa, which now the US government has revoked his visa, and if he does not have another grounds by which to be in the US, then he can be deported. Whereas when it comes to the extradition process, he actually has to go before the US federal court for the judge here in America to decide if Ghana can extradite him back to the country.
If that's the case, and we know that he's to face the U.S. a U.S. judge, is it on the extradition request or on the deportation?
Okay, so it can be both. So as I mentioned, the two can be happening in parallel. The two can be happening in parallel. To my understanding, the hearing that he has coming up on January 20th, that is before the immigration judge, okay? So concerning the immigration charges, but separately, there could also be the extradition hearing before a federal judge.
So without the hearing, he cannot be extradited like that.
That is correct. That is correct. That in order for him to be extradited, which is separate from being deported, okay, so that's what I'm saying. It's two processes. In order for him to be extradited, a U.S. federal judge must hear the charges that Ghana is bringing forth to see that there is probable cause. And if the U.S. judge has determined that, yes, this is someone that he needs to go, before the authorities in Ghana to face those charges, then he will issue a judgment. The U.S. judge will issue a judgment to have the individual extradited. But to keep in mind, I'm sure Mr. Ofori-Atta, he has a very robust team of lawyers that is representing him right now. So his lawyers, of course, are probably going to be bringing forth any and every defense for him not to be extradited.
But knowing that the Ghanaian authorities wanted to extradite him and hearing that his visa was cancelled, could the two have any correlation, that the visa cancellation was because of the request from Ghana?
Okay. Now, obviously, this is only speculation on my part. I do not have, access to the thought process of the U.S. government. But as an outsider, I would suspect that there's some connection. I would suspect that there's some connection.
Okay. All right. I'm grateful to you for joining us here. Janelle Oklu is a U.S.-based immigration lawyer. Let's bring in a member of the lawyers for Ken Ofori-Atta, Frank Davis. I'm grateful to you, Mr. Davis, for joining. I mean, we first want to know your reaction to this announcement coming from the U.S. ambassador that they do not intend to interfere in any action by the Ghanaian government to remove Ken Ofori-Atta from the U.S.
Good evening once again to terrorist listeners and esteemed viewers. I listened in to what the immigration lawyer just said, and a couple of the words she used. It was without prejudice. And if we all understand without prejudice, I wonder why the foreign minister will be waving a white handkerchief as if any significant victory has been hoped. Without prejudice means without prejudice. Let me offer some little education so that all those who are commingling the eyes pick up and extradition processes would know once and for all and take themselves out of the web of confusion that they find themselves in. Generally, no extradition requires the involvement of the country where the person is located. That is the requested state, as it were. And here is why. There are sovereignty issues. Okay, a country has jurisdiction over people and territory within its borders. So any person of interest, suspect or accused person could be picked up. Now, extradition usually follows treaties and agreements between countries, and that has to do with international law. There's also due process. The requested state needs to verify the request and ensure that it meets or conforms with legal standards. I think this is what the foreign minister has to understand. So the mere fact that the American ambassador said they will not stand in the way of Ghana, it means that he, the ambassador, is cognizant of the fact that there has to be proper due process. So, and there are significant exceptions. Okay, there's something known as provisional arrest. Some treaties allow for temporary detention without prior approval. There's also Interpol Red Notice, which we are all conversant with now in this country. That is meant to facilitate international cooperation. But of course, you know that Kenneth's particular situation, the Red Notice alert was pulled down because he didn't meet the required standards and requirements. There's also what we call unilateral action. A country might arrest someone without formal extradition. But this is rare. It happens rarely because it risks violating international law. Typically, authorities in the country where the person is located need to be involved before any lawful extradition order can be facilitated. So I cannot comprehend why the foreign minister would decide to put this in the public domain as if tomorrow Ken will be removed from America and brought down to Ghana. Sometimes.
But if the government has to be involved and the same government says, I won't interfere, that sort of gives the Ghanaian government some hope that, well, if by due process we can get him back to Ghana.
Yeah, so don't envelope yourself too into that confusion. If we all understand due process, I didn't think that it was any useful for the foreign minister to come and say what he said after having a personal conversation with the American ambassador. And let me give you the process steps for any lawful extradition. Okay, there is what we call a request submission. The requesting state, which is Ghana, sends a request to the requested state, which is America. Okay, there is a review process. The requested state checks if the request meets the treaty requirements. And then you come to an arrest. The person can be arrested if the request is valid. And then there's what we call the hearing process. The court decides, as the lady told you. The federal judge will decide whether the extradition is lawful and not the immigration court. And then there is what we call the surrender. After the process, the person is handed over if the extradition process is approved. The requested state hands over the person involved, the person of interest, the suspect or the accused person, to the requesting state.
From where we are now, we are not close to the extradition process yet. We are looking at immigration.
Not at all. There's a far yard and rope. We are not anywhere close. The people should stop confusing themselves with this ICE thing. The ICE thing is a purely immigration administrative action. And the lady told you, the general lady, she told you. It is a purely administrative action, which is separate and distinct, I've said, from the extradition process. The extradition process goes to a court in the U.S.
So as we speak, you do not have any information that Ghana has started that to get a court to hear that as well. I mean, the extradition.
Not that I know of.
Okay.
And I don't know whether you also know it. What we know is the notice to appear, which is supposed to come on the 20th of January in respect of the ICE pickup. But as to extradition, nobody has been told.
Okay.
So when ambassadors say that now Kojo to Ablakwa, they should let Ghanaians understand what is going on. And people who speak on both sides of the political divide should exercise some circumspection in this matter.
Mr. Davis,
Ofori-Atta is not fleeing criminal justice in this country. All he is asking for is fairness, due process, and rule of law. So people should stop making all kinds of statements and he has run away, he should come and account. Come on. Ofori-Atta was in this country.
So Mr. Davis, sorry, but
in 2023,
is his absence now from the education you are giving is because he wants fairness and not necessarily because he's not well?
Don't let go into those issues. Said to you that he is going through a recuperation process after his surgery. And he is having consultation with his medical team as to whether he will be fit to travel to the country, as and when.
Okay.
But why ICE matter came up? And I'm saying, in all of this,
he wants fairness.
If you pay kind attention to what Ofori-Atta has been put through from the time that the Rambo-style raid of his home, when he was not in the country, known to the security apparatus, the Rambo-style raid on his home, for the special prosecutor to come and say that it was state managed. So the special prosecutor has not apologized for this careless remark.
All right. But
if you were in his shoes, you will not ensure for fairness.
Okay, I'm grateful.
Rule of law and due process.
I'm grateful. But why was his visa cancelled?
Every Ghanaian is entitled to.
Why was his visa cancelled?
Why what?
His visa cancelled.
Why was his visa cancelled?
We are told his visa was cancelled. We want education on
I
that.
don't know about that.
Okay.
You
all right.
you know, so investigate and education.
No, I don't. I wanted education from you.
I don't know about that.
Okay, sir. I'm grateful. Frank Davis is a member of the legal team of Ken Ofori-Atta. This has been Top Story. Up next is Newsnight.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to Newsnight. We're live from our studios here at Kokomlemle in Accra and across the country on over 30 affiliates. Tonight, cash constraints at Ministry of Youth Development and Empowerment stalls rollout of National Service Authority's military training program. A sector minister calls for release of funds allocated for youth development.
Also, commercial drivers reject government claims for creating artificial vehicle shortages to push transport fares up during rush hour, as Transport Minister summons GPRTU and other commercial transport operators over the issue.
The minister is wrong. He is totally wrong, outrageously wrong. He has got everything wrong.
What the minister is saying is not true. He is totally wrong. By right, he should have come down and then take the information from here.
In business,
Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Kojo Ablakwa announces plans to negotiate a bespoke trade agreement with the U.S. government later this year.
in sports,
Semi-final action of the 2025 AFCON kicks off with Senegal and Egypt still goalless at halftime.
and a bit later, Interior Ministry announces plans to reward prison inmates who demonstrate good conduct and actively participate in the production of school uniforms and sanitary parts with a reduction in their prison term.
If you comport yourself and work in the industry within the prison for 1 year, your prison sentence is reduced by 3 months. So that instead of 1 year, you do 9 months.
We got the latest of these and many other stories coming up shortly. You can be a part of this show by sending us a WhatsApp on 055 11 11 997. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi.
My name is Ofori.
Details after this.
Auntie T, I beg, fix me go betete Ghana. No gari, no oil, no plantain, just beans then eggs.
Hey, brah, that be dangerous combination, no.
Problem no day. I feel handle am.
For Telecel, with the Bob say everybody gets what they like. That be why Made For Me bundles day. Based on your usage, if you get your own data and call packages, falla! Made For Me bundles like the way you want them. That *530# then buy Made For Me bundles today.
Telecel, connecting energies.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first port of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office,
Takweje, Osu near the Osu Cemetery, Temania Community 4, Takoradi opposite Vijay Mays Plaza, Cape Coast, University Bookshop,
Bookshop, Spintex Road near Absa Bank, Atomic, Centerpoint Mall, Winneba University Campus, KNUST, the University Bookshop, and Santasi in Kumasi. You can also visit our shop online, www.kingdomstoreonline.com. Hurry while stock lasts. For further inquiries, contact us on 050-162-0810 or 0302-764-101. Email info@kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited, where quality and affordability is assured. Terms and conditions apply.
No matter where we are, Africa always calls us home. And here in Ghana, the call is clear: to power growth and create lasting impact. At Stanbic Corporate and Investment Banking, we are creating giants and connecting businesses. From financing bold energy projects to enabling cleaner, reliable power for industries, we are fueling Ghana's transformation. With our support, Gensa Energy is delivering sustainable energy that powers Goldfields operations, helping them move closer to cleaner, greener mining. This is a story of how we bring businesses together, create jobs, empower communities, and invest in the next generation. Stanbic Bank, delivering sustainable growth, creating impact. To learn more, visit stanbicbank.com.gh.
You're welcome back to Newsnight. In our first story, the Ministry of Youth Development and Empowerment finds itself paralyzed by a cash shortage, forcing the indefinite delay of the National Service Authority's highly anticipated military training program. The sector minister revealed that legally mandated funds meant to flow from the Communications Service tax have yet to see the light of day.
Under the Communications Service Tax Act 2008, Act 754, at least 20% of CST revenue is supposed to finance youth development programs. Yet, the minister lamented that the funds remain trapped in bureaucratic limbo, leaving the ministry scrambling.
Well, the disclosure came during a working visit by the Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, today, as the minister pleaded for her direct intervention to break the funding deadlock.
Our programs are underfunded, and if you look at the population dynamics, this is Ghana, the youth ministry. I say that more or less our minister for half of this country, because between the ages of 0 to 14 and 15 to 35 is about 68% of the total population. Yet this is the ministry that is less funded. If I tell you my budget allocation for last year, you will laugh at us. But we are willing to do more and push so that we get the programs running. If we're able to fund the YE, what we've been advocating for is that the 80% communication service tax should be given to the ministry and its agencies. That money, per the law, was to support youth. And if we are giving all that amount, we are able to fund YE to run many more models, the NEIP, and then the National Youth Authority, so that all our programs will be given the needed support and funding so that we are able to get the best results out of our young people. Unemployment is still high, and so we need to find innovative ways. We need to get all government agencies to sit down and see how best. For instance, the big push project that is happening, we should find a way of bringing on board labor-intensive there's a program the Ministry of Labor used to run, Labor something, where people within the communities, every country, labor-intensive public work, when we have a lot of artisans, and we are still training more. Yet contractors come and bring in people from outside, and so the local economies are not supported.
Well, in response, the Vice President urged the ministry to look for alternative revenue streams, warning that the government has a lot on its plate.
I'm sure we'll be very happy to do that. And I hear you on all your budgetary constraints, and not that I'm making excuses, but I just want us all to be very mindful about our situation. Let's say not too long. Just recently used so much money just to pay debts. And, I was sitting there telling myself, oh, I wish half of that money was given to me. And what would I have used it for? Maybe not for the Women's Bank yet. That's in the offing. At the right time, we'll talk about it. But I would have been happy just to go to the public primary schools and make nice playgrounds for the children. The children also learn through play, and all of that. But I'm just saying that there are a few issues. So we should be interested in ways in which we can grow the national pie. I keep saying, I think I've said that elsewhere, that I'm not so much interested in apportioning what we have. I'm interested in ensuring that what we have gets bigger. What I mean is this. Let's say the whole national budget is 100 cedis, and so we're all fighting. And this one should get 10% and that one should get 1% and so on. Assuming the total is 200 and not 100, then even if you got a small percentage, it's still bigger. Okay, so growing the economy should be of paramount importance, and taking good care of the people who grow the economy, and that's where you also come in. That's also as important.
So that's the Vice President Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman there. Let's come back to the studio and speak to Jason Day of our research desk to break down the ministry's budget nightmare. And Jason, let's start by understanding what really the Communications Service Tax is supposed to fund.
So, Ken, the Communication Service Tax, that's the CST, it's a 5% levy on the charges consumers pay for using electronic communication services like mobile phone, mobile calls, and SMS and data. And by law, 20% of the proceeds go to youth employment programs under the Ministry of Youth Development and Empowerment. And the remaining 80% goes into the consolidated fund.
And what portions of last year's CST allocation actually reached the youth ministry?
So the CST, it's important to know that the CST is one source of funding for the Youth Employment Agency under the Youth Ministry. And then last year, which is 2025, 1.7 billion cedis was approved for the YEA, that represents, for the YEA, that the Youth Employment Agency. And a third of which was expected to come from the CST. That's about 585 million cedis. Then the agency was also supposed to receive 757 million cedis from the District Assembly Common Fund, and also 428 million cedis from the GET Fund, which represents 43% from the District Assembly Common Fund, and the GET Fund to 24%.
Jason Day, thank you very much. Let's go into the telephone lines right now and speak to Ernest Nogbe. He's the chairman of Parliament's Youth and Sports Committee. Thank you very much for your time this evening. The Communications Service Tax Act is mandating about 20% of revenue be allocated to the youth development. Why has this allocation stalled, per what the minister told us? We're still trying to get Ernest Nogbe there. He's the chairman of Parliament's Youth and Sports Committee there. And of course, the vice president at that particular event also moved to the Ministry of Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs Ministry, and spoke to the Minister Ahmed Ibrahim, who outlined bold plans which included the more than 24-hour markets across all metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies. And Professor Jainan Opoku-Agyeman lauded the minister for efficiently utilizing allocated funds, a stark contrast to the youth ministry's funding debacle.
When we listen, we appreciate and understand the issues that each of our ministries are facing. So these are part of the reasons why we are here this morning. I've heard your report, and I'm very, very, very happy to note that there are more achievements than complaints. The achievements are more, is it 25 or 24? But the complaints are less than, yes. So what we can do is that we've taken all of these in, and you can count on us to play our roles. We want to ensure that the ministries are adequately supported, so you can also deliver on the responsibilities that we have put before you.
You heard that the Vice President, Professor Jane Nano Pukwajima. Let's move on to other stories. And this evening, commercial drivers are rejecting government's claims that they are deliberately creating artificial vehicle shortages to force transport fare hikes during peak hours. Now, speaking at the Government Accountability Series today, the Minister in charge of Government Communications, Felix Kwachio-Fusu, accused some commercial vehicle operators of engaging in rent-seeking behavior by deliberately limiting vehicle availability to push up fares, despite recent reductions in fuel prices and import duties on spare parts.
Indeed, I got off the line with the Transport Minister barely 30 minutes ago. First of all, what has happened is that there are some transport operators who are engaging in rent-seeking behavior. Because ordinarily, transportation is a largely private sector-driven activity in Ghana. We have these transport unions, GPRTU and what have you, who organize transport systems that convey the generality of our people. For some reason, after the persistent reduction in fuel prices, which led the transport organizations to announce a 15% reduction in transport fares, there are some operators within the system who thought that they could engage in rent-seeking behavior by creating artificial shortages. So, Komla, you and I know that if, for instance, you wanted a vehicle from, say, the heart of the Kwame Nkrumah interchange, or circle, as we used to call it, to Achimota, you go to a particular spot at the station where you know you are most likely to catch such a vehicle. Now, some of these operators do not go to the designated spots. They roam in the hope that the shortage that is created will compel passengers or commuters to part with more money than they should ordinarily pay. They are creating scarcity to drive up prices so that they can engage in rent-seeking behavior. It is unlawful activity, and it must be looked at. Government indeed is looking at it to ensure that those engaging in that activity are brought to order, because there's an agreement between government and the transport unions to fix transportation prices twice a year, unless some extraordinary circumstance dictates otherwise.
So that's the Minister in charge of Government Communications, Felix Kwachio-Fusu, who added that the Minister of Transport, Joseph Nikbe, has summoned officials of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, JPRTU, and other commercial transport operators to the creation of artificial scarcity in the sector.
When the matter first arose, the Minister for Transport took decisive action by getting STC to release dozens of vehicles to augment what existed in the private sector. And this arrangement largely worked. It eased the situation significantly. We all know that during the festive season, there's an upsurge in passenger numbers, understandable, because people want to get items from the business district or other notable trading spots for the festivities. And so there was an upsurge. After the festivities, I think that the vehicles were withdrawn. And we note that the rent-seeking behavior still persists. So the minister informs that he has asked the STC to put back the vehicles on the road. In addition to that, there are quite a number of Metro Mass buses that had broken down. So he has ordered their expedited servicing to ensure that in a matter of days, they are back on the road. But they will operate outside of their normal routes and schedules in order to take care of the present congestion that is going on. The minister also informs me that I think tomorrow or so, he has requested for a meeting with the GPRTU and other transport operators to address the issue of rent seeking, to call those engaged in that activity to order so that the hardship is alleviated.
But however, some commercial drivers operating within Accra have dismissed the allegations, insisting they are not deliberately withholding vehicles from service.
The minister is wrong. He is totally wrong, outrageously wrong. He has got everything wrong. No, the station here we don't do that, but here we regulate whatever is there, and no driver here charges more than what we are supposed to charge. They form a queue because they know we charge the stipulated fare here. But those who are up and down from will be by the roadside, and they are being taken advantage of.
What the minister is saying is not true. He is totally wrong. By right, he should have come down and then take the information from here and then can convey it to the public. We have our drivers. They are all under control. They charge the appropriate fares being given to them. And then those who charges more than necessary are those wole. They go and come, we don't even know them.
We, the station drivers, don't do that. If the minister has noticed the problem, he should focus more on those involved.
Well, let's bring you more stories this evening because the Vehicle Endorsement Association of Ghana, VEMAG, has gone to court in a bid to prevent what it describes as the sidelining of licensed endorsers in the implementation of the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority's new license plate registration system, warning that more than 3,000 members risk losing their jobs if the policy is rolled out. The association appeared in court on Monday seeking an order to restrain the DVLA from awarding both the manufacturing and endorsement of vehicle number plates to a single entity, Original Manufacturing and Endorsement, also known as DASIBRE.
Well, the case was adjourned after the DVLA indicated it had not been served with the writ. Meanwhile, the Chief Executive Officer of the authority, Julius Nikwe Kote, has dismissed claims that endorsement contracts have been cancelled, describing the allegations as false and misleading. He maintains that he has neither cancelled nor issued any new endorsement contracts since assuming office, accusing the association of peddling falsehood.
First, they said they are not ready and that they want us to give them 1 year to go look for the digitalized machines. So I said they should go see the one who has the contract. Because I don't have a contract. I cannot amend that contract now. It takes a lot of process. I cannot cancel it. So go and see the one who has the contract. My brother, they went and they've not gotten back to DVLA. All I heard was a press conference against me that I've unilaterally given a contract out. I've taken money, those allegations. And they wrote a petition to the board, to the minister. The minister didn't see the head and tail of it, and they went to court. That is the issue. So let me state on record that I have not cancelled any contract. Neither was any contract cancelled before I came with regards to number plates. And I, Julius Nikwe Kote, I have not also issued any contract out.
Right, and let's bring in Caleb Ziblame of our research desk to better really understand what is going on. And, of course, we'll be going on to the telephone lines to speak to our resource persons as well. But, Caleb, how many vehicles are currently not captured on the DVLA digital platform?
Okay, so, Ken, what we're learning from the DVLA is that post-2023, so if you register your vehicle in 2023 or after, you were automatically onboarded to the digital system that DVLA is currently running with. So post-2023, we have about 494,000 vehicles that have been onboarded onto the digital system that DVLA is using. But then before 2023, and we've been going through the data, and then somewhere in 2023, the Transport Minister at the time, that's Mr. Kweku Esiama, said that by the end of 2022, there were 3.2 million vehicles registered in the country. So it means that about 3.2 million vehicles would need to be onboarded to DVLA's new digital system. So Ken, we need 3.2 million vehicles to be registered.
That's quite interesting. And considering this directive, wouldn't there be significant congestion at centers given the large number of vehicles involved?
Yeah, so that was the thinking then, and we thought there was going to be a very tight time frame to re-register your vehicles. But according to the DVLA, this is not going to happen instantly, and then there's going to be a long enough time for people to bring their vehicles and re-register them. So hopefully, if there's enough time, not everyone will have to go to the centers at once, and then the 3.2 million vehicles that we've seen so far will not all be at the center at the same time. And then if you look at the average, we are expecting about 94,000 vehicles per every DVLA office, and that's if you spread it around across the entire country. But then again, most of the vehicles are based in either Accra, Kumasi, or Tamale. So these are the main centers that will face high congestion.
Thank you very much, Caleb Ziblame there. Let's now go into the telephone lines right now and speak to Stephen Ofori-Atta. He is the Director of Corporate Affairs at the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority to speak about the debacle surrounding the embossment at the DVLA, which has since been sent to court. Glad you could join me this evening. Why has this issue become a major bone of contention, even though your outfit, DVLA, is insisting that no contract has been cancelled?
Okay, the name is...
This is Kenneth.
Hello.
Yes, my name is Kenneth.
Okay, thank you. My name is Atu, actually, not Atta. Thank you very much. The Chief Executive had taken the opportunity yesterday at our PESA to address this issue of vehicle number and bonus, and made a case clear that he did not sign any contractual arrangement since assuming office for the embossment of manufacturing of license plates. That the process was already undertaken, and in November 2024, the contract was signed, which he inherited. And that contract made room for the manufacture of a certain quantity of number plates. What he did was simply to look at what the license plate that was contracted for originally contains, and to add up what he believes is more advanced, that would rather make the license plate more functional for us. So that is what it is. Denmark does not have any contract subsisting with DVLA as we speak. There was a memorandum of understanding which DVLA had with them, which assured of payment for the number of vehicles they've embossed, or number of license plates they've embossed. And so based on the work they've done, DVLA gives assurances, and then payments are made to them from time to time to offset that. That contract expired on the 1st of December. The contract the Chief Executive came to meet is one for the manufacturing and embossment of license plates. And that is a contract we are working under, and not that he has engaged in any new contract, or that he has deprived anybody from the ability to perform any contract. I'm sure if members of Denmark themselves had gone through the process and won this contract, they will not be happy that somebody is in court compelling the authority not to allow them to execute the contract that they rightfully won. Because the contract was awarded after a competitive process was undertaken, and the person with authority to do it, which is Mel, won the contract, and they are executing that. We haven't even ruled out the new license plate because of the requirements to amend the existing LI 2180. And so we cannot say that that contract is currently in force. But then, we have made every necessary arrangement with the manufacturer who won the contract. And we are waiting. As soon as the LI amendments have been taken through, we will roll the new license plates. And that is what the proof is, and that is what we can put out to the public.
Stay with me, Stephen Atu. Let's speak to the lawyer for the Vehicle Endorsement Association of Ghana, VMAC. That's Martin Pebu. Good evening, and thank you for your time here on Newsnight. You've had the CEO of the DVLA there. He's described your client's claims as baseless. What's your response?
Far from it. There's a first thing. Far from it. Is it Pearl? Yeah, Pearl, right?
Yes, Pearl.
Yeah. Pearl. This is far from it. Look, DVLA has been dealing with my clients for decades. So it cannot be the case that overnight, this year, 2026, my clients can just be thrown out into the cold. No. There are arguments that they've been doing. So every year, sometime in November, the DVLA allocates the embossment, right? Gives them contracts. Each of my clients, there's an allocation formula that they do. Long before this current DVLA management came in. And that has been the practice. So it is not the law that suddenly a new boss can come and begin to do something else. You see, this 2026 embossments they are doing, my clients are not involved. They are not involved. They've not been given allocations.
And so that is a serious bone of contention. That's one. Number two, you heard Mr. Achu himself say that the new MD decided to add certain elements to make the plate more functional. That is a variation. That is a variation. That was not the contract that the other person, original endorsement, was given. And even before then, the original endorsement, that's the person who purportedly won that contract in 2024, was not given a contract to do endorsement. Hell, this is where we should be starting from. In the industry, they've always had a group of companies that do the manufacture, and then a different set that do embossment. My clients are the embossers. Original embossment, the company that won the contract, it's to do only manufacture. So ask Achu, can he produce a contract that says that that company should do things, will be resorted to, that's lessons, will be resorted to, that's let's go back to what we were doing. Because they've invested in this business for decades. So you cannot just come and throw them aside and start dealing with different people. People have invested in this, they have employees, they have offices, etc. You number about 3,000. You throw them out into the cold. Then number two, you see the digital one that they are about to amend the law to cater for. That one too, our clients were not were engaged up to a point, and then it was stopped, and then the contract is purportedly being given to original endorsement. That's the company. What we demand in that one is that our clients be engaged to see how our clients can also be brought on board so that they too can bring in equipment and continue the business. You can't collapse a business that takes care of about 3,000 people just like that.
And Martin, stay on. Let's go back to Stephen Atu of the DVLA.
And Stephen, you've been listening to Martin Kpebu, who is the lawyer for the Embossers Association. And of course, this case is already in court. Surely you have a word or two for him. Unfortunately, we've lost Stephen Atu on the line. He's the director of corporate affairs with the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority. And earlier also we heard from Martin Kpebu, who has been challenging this cancellation of contract by the DVLA, insisting that his clients, that is the Vehicle Endorsement Association of Ghana, indeed has a good case. That's why it's been sent to court. You're still listening to Newsline here on Joy 99.7 FM. It's now time for business, and George Riafi is here with the latest. George, what do you have for us?
Hi, Kenneth, and coming up in business, we'll hear from the Foreign Affairs Minister, who has announced plans to renegotiate a tailor-made trade agreement with the U.S. government later this year, expected to be of mutual benefit to the two countries. The government assures no extra cost to port users as Ghana Revenue Authority prepares to roll out its artificial intelligence system for goods clearance at the ports. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials. Sinter's Tangs and Pepsodent Herbal and Charcoal.
The other day, I visited Kweku at his spunky new office to congratulate him on opening his business. And man, was I impressed. The business is just moving quick. The sales, customers, everything is just working seamlessly. The secret? He said,
it's MTN Business Broadband. In this fast-paced environment, we need fast and reliable internet to support all business types. No laggy online meetings, great download and upload speeds, impeccable business management systems, all inclusive. I mean, you can have it all.
Shout! I signed on immediately.
To enable your business stay ahead and stay connected, make sure you're signed on to the best internet made just for businesses. MTN Business Broadband. Sign up today on broadband.mtn.com.gh and manage your account on my MTN app. Call 0244 308 111 for more information.
MTN.
Hey, Anjua. Challenge these days, new level crowd. Where did you pass?
Me, pass somewhere. I just switched for a better life. I switched for comfort. Look, your salary deserves better.
Switch?
Yeah.
How do you mean?
I switched my salary account to Fidelity Bank. And that's my jackpot. I get higher loan amounts with lower interest rates, as well as personalized financial support. They gave me a loan to expand my side hustle. And the terms are just flexible.
Wow.
Your salary deserves better.
Oh, my salary deserves better, Pa. You see the way you are smiling wide? Yes, I will switch and smile wider. Your salary deserves better. Switch to Fidelity Bank today and enjoy lower interest rate, car and home loan, personalized financial support, and a smile that lasts. Switch and smile wider. Fidelity Bank. Believe with us.
If I believe with us, Fidelity. If I know I lay your side, Fidelity.
At Star Oil, we believe fuel is not just a commodity, it is a lifeline. Every cedi saved at the pump is a cedi that helps a mother send her child to school. A farmer transports food to the market, or a young entrepreneur deliver their first order. Our mission is to make fuel more accessible by offering consistently competitive prices, helping ease the financial burden on Ghanaian households. In a country where transportation costs can consume nearly a third of household income, this is not just business. It's a social responsibility. Star Oil, still quality and affordable fuels for all.
Brushing gets more fun with your kids with the new Pepsodent Kids toothpaste. Give your smiles protection that lasts. Grab yours today from a store near you. This advert is FDA approved.
For many years, we've been solving Ghana's water storage problems with quality tanks. Syntex tank. You know, it is strong, it's tough, and reliable. And now, we're in to solve the #1 problem when it comes to water carriage: our pipes. With the state-of-the-art machinery, Syntex is providing very strong, tough, reliable, high quality, and durable pipes at a reasonable price. This is Syntex Pipes. With Syntex Pipes, water flows wow. I mean, ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. If they carry water, no wahala. With Syntex Pipe, our water problems are solved. Syntex, are you strong? Are you tough?
You welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Kojo Ablakwa has announced plans to negotiate a tailor-made trade agreement with the U.S. government. Now, this, the minister made the disclosure on social media page that is on his X earlier today. We have details in the following report.
The disclosure by the Minister of Foreign Affairs Samuel Kojo Ablakwa comes after the U.S. Ambassador to Ghana, Rolf Olsen, announced that his government has finally extended the African Growth and Opportunity Act for 3 years. The trade pact ensures that countries like Ghana have access to the U.S. market on a duty-free, quota-free basis for goods exported to that country. In a social media post, the minister also disclosed that Ghana has made payment to U.S. companies affected by the recent debt exchange program. The minister believes this will enhance the business climate in Ghana-U.S. trade relations. The meeting, which took place yesterday as part of a comprehensive assessment of Ghana-U.S. bilateral relations and agreed priority areas for cooperation in 2026, also acknowledged the removal of President Trump's 15% tariffs on a wide range of unprocessed and semi-processed agricultural products from Ghana.
And that is a Business Desk report. Now let's talk still on the issue because meanwhile, Chief Executive of the Ghana Export-Import Bank, Sylvester Mensah, has described the extension as critical for Ghana's export. He said this on the sidelines of the launch of the Ghana Export and Import Bank 10th celebration program in Accra.
particularly for those of us who more engage in agriculture and who intend to process agriculture. You realize that the geopolitical situation seems to be shifting some particular businesses to the African region, particularly when it comes to garments and apparel. Most of the big brands that we wear, whether it is Nike, name them, most of them are produced in the Far East. Today, most of these big brands are moving closer to Africa and in particular Ghana.
And so Semester is the chief executive of the Ghana Export and Import Bank, speaking at the media launch of the bank's 10th year celebrations. The government has assured that port users and importers will not be made to pay any extra cost for the deployment of its artificial intelligence systems at the country's port. The system is aimed at ensuring efficiency and accuracy in duty payments. Speaking to the business community at the stakeholder engagement in Accra, Deputy Minister of Finance Thomas Nyakwampem justified the need for the introduction of the system.
This implementation is not coming at any cost to you. We never said that we are not paying the service provider. So let's get the two correctly. We never said that the service provider will not be paid. What we said is that we are not charging you any extra fee for the service. The burden for the payment of the service provider will not be on you. That is why I referred to my brother and said I support his statement that you won't pay a kobo, you won't pay a dime, you won't pay a naira, you won't pay whatever examples he used. So that is the distinction.
And that is the Thomas Nyakwampem. He is the Deputy Minister of Finance. Now, leader of the oil marketing industry, Star Oil, paid 2.6 billion Ghana cedis in taxes and levies to government in 2025. The announcement was captured in a post on social media by the industry giant. The data also showed that Star Oil paid 41 million Ghana cedis in corporate taxes to the state on its operations for 2025. 1.7 billion Ghana cedis was paid as a customs levy as well for that year. It also sold 819 million liters of petroleum product for last year. In terms of employment, it actually employs more than 2,000 persons for last year. To other stories, the total value of goods and services produced from that is September to October last year, when it comes to the month-on-month slowed. It dropped from 5.3% in September to 3.8% in October last year. The data showed the services sector continues to aid the expansion. Well, some people have raised concerns about the publication of this month-on-month data, but government statistician Dr. Hassan Idrisu has justified it.
So it's always a cost-benefit analysis. So what you have to do is that if you want more frequent indicator, something must give. And here, what gives is that we don't wait to get full information before we publish, before we give you that information. We don't wait to get full data before we give you the direction of the economy. So that is what we have to, what has to give in order for us to be able to give you more frequent data. So we are quick to always tell you that the MEG information we are releasing, we need to be cautious in terms of its interpretation, because it comes with incomplete data as at the time that we are releasing. And then we also said that because we've started this work not long ago, we don't have much enough series to deseasonalize, right? And so the data, because there are monthly seasons, that in practical terms. But over time, when we get some more data, we'll be able to produce some deseasonalized data.
And that is government statistician Dr. Hassan Idrisu speaking there. And that's all for business on Newsnight.
Thank you very much, George. Let's take you back to our earlier story where some commercial drivers have rejected claims for creating artificial vehicle shortages to push transport fares up during rush hour, as the transport minister, we understand, has summoned the Ghana Private Road Transport Union and other commercial transport operators to a meeting on that particular subject. Let's go on to the telephone lines right now and speak to the Deputy PRO for the GPRT, Samuel Amwa there. Samuel, grateful for your time this evening. Of course, apart from government making these accusations, passengers have also accused you of causing artificial shortage of vehicles. Is that really the case?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. Let me say good evening to you and your listeners. Yeah, we've heard about this issue of one, vehicle shortage, and two, some drivers taking advantage of that and charging unapproved fares and all that. This issue even came up before the Christmas festive, and we came up with a release that, we've come to understand that most of the vehicles don't belong to the unions or don't belong to any of the associations. And that as GPRT, we have control over our union members, but those that don't belong to any of the unions are those that we don't have controls over them. And because of that, if you recall, the Accra Mayor came out that he's organizing a task force team to hit the street to make sure that vehicles that are charging on approved fares and all that, they will be arrested. As I'm speaking to you, our search has made us understand that most of the vehicles don't belong to any of the unions, and that even coming Friday, prior to that, we are having a meeting with the transport minister on this very issue. We are coming up with a strategy where we ask the minister to assist us by engaging the police and then the MMDC to assist us, so that areas that we think has been turned to a pick-up point, which are even not supposed to be those points that they are supposed to pick passengers, we will be there. And if you find our vehicles, if I say our vehicles, I mean those vehicles that belong to our union, we will call them to order.
Samuel, we understand that you've been summoned by the Transport Minister for a meeting on a range of issues, including the ones that you have told us now. Are you aware of such meeting?
Yes, I'm aware of that meeting. I even mentioned that hopefully by Friday we are meeting the Transport Ministry. And these are some of the issues that we are going to talk about. Finding a strategy to put a stop to that, because it's like the drivers, the floating drivers are creating problems for the GPRTU, because anything, concern transport sector, will be referred to the GPRTU or will be tagged, to the GPRTU. That is why we want to liaise with the Transport Ministry for them to also assist us. So by the end of the meeting, I believe that we will come up with something that will help this situation.
Samuel, thank you very much. Samuel Amwa is the Deputy PRO of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union. Let's do some sports. Benaya is here with the latest.
Yeah, so Ken, just when I was on my way to studio, Senegal took the lead. I already prepared the stress and it's a 0-0 game, but
okay.
So Sadio Mane fired Senegal into the lead in the 77th minute of the first semi-final tie of the African Cup of Nations. Now, the much anticipated encounter between Egypt and Senegal lived up to expectations, delivering a thrilling battle as it was attack versus defense. Senegal dominated proceedings with sustained attacking pressure throughout the game, while Egypt remained compact and disciplined at the back.
Thank you very much.
Why are you sacking me?
Relax,
I'm coming.
I thought you were.
Allow him to finish.
So it took up to the 77th minute when Sadio Mane struck from outside the box to give Senegal the breakthrough. So as it stands now, Senegal are on course to book a place in the final. It's going to be their third final in 7 years.
I hope Nigeria also beats Morocco so that we have an all West African final.
Why are you supporting Nigeria?
But why shouldn't he?
I mean, why shouldn't I? They are neighbors,
Okay.
they are friends, they are family.
Okay, I'm supporting Morocco though.
I know you are. Thank you very much.
That's it for sports.
Now let's do some other stories this evening. And prison inmates who exhibit good behavior and take part in the production of school uniforms and sanitary parts could have their prison term reduced by 3 months. Interior Minister Muntaka Mubarak says the initiative will be implemented through a community service bill expected to be presented to Parliament. The move, according to the minister, is designed to ensure discipline among inmates while contributing to national efforts to support education and menstrual hygiene in schools.
Idling in the prison creates a lot of problem for our inmates. So they are in there incarcerated, yet through this training and this opportunity, they get skills, and by the time they are out of incarceration, they have some skills in their hand. 3, immediate income, because state feeds you. So whatever allowances or payment or wages that are given them is saved for them, so that when they leave, it becomes a set of capital for them. And lastly, we intend to the community service bill, which is being laid before Parliament very soon, to make sure that if you comport yourself and work in the industry within the prison for 1 year, your prison sentence is reduced by 3 months. So that instead of 1 year, you do 9 months. So all this combined is going to change the face of incarceration in our country.
Well, my colleague Ramat was at that program and joins us in the studio with more. What was the reaction from the prison service regarding this initiative?
So, Pearl, the initiative to empower inmates produce items like sanitary pads, school uniforms and furniture to the education sector was formalized today through a memorandum of understanding at the Interior Ministry between the Ministries of Education, Interior and Ghana Prison Service. So during the signing of the memorandum, Director General of Prisons, Patience Bafo Boni, she describes the program as a game changer, noting it will transform prisoners and prison centers into centers of productivity and provide inmates with valuable skills that can help them reintegrate into society after their release. We can listen to her.
In the days past, the perception was that the Ghana Prison Service was just there locking up inmates and releasing them to the community when it became necessary. But the opportunity has come for the Ghana Prison Service to make itself relevant in the scale of production and making the Ghana Prison Service very useful. And in doing so, we are going to rely on the taking through the skilled training. And in this particular case, the emphasis is going to be on managing machines in the sanitary pad production, tailoring in the area of sewing the uniforms, and carpentry in the production of furniture.
And in other stories this evening, the National Road Safety Authority is urging members of the public to exercise caution in the use and patronage of Toyota Voxy vehicles for commercial transport following emergency safety concerns about their suitability for use on public roads in the country. It follows reports that a significant number of Toyota Voxy vehicles currently operating locally were originally manufactured as right-hand drive vehicles and subsequently converted to left-hand drive vehicles after importation. Well, according to the authority, some of these converted vehicles may present handling and stability challenges, particularly at high speeds and when negotiating curves, raising concerns about their overall roadworthiness. And speaking on the Pulse on Joy News, the acting Director General of the authority, Abraham Amaliba, cautioned the public to exercise heightened vigilance when patronizing Toyota Voxy vehicles used for commercial transport.
Preliminary investigations reveal that most of these Toyota Voxy minibuses have been converted from the right-hand drive to the left-hand drive. By so doing, it affects the vehicle stability when driving or when handling the vehicle for drivers. Apart from that, because it is also converted and it has affected its stability, when the vehicles are curving or negotiating a curve, we find that also being problematic to those who are handling the vehicle, the drivers.
That's the Acting Director General of the National Road Safety Authority, Abraham Amaliba, who also said that a technical working group is being set up to conduct a thorough investigation and recommend regulatory measures when necessary.
We want to conduct a thorough investigation into the matter, and so we've put together a team from the DVLA, from the Logistics and Transport Institute, from Toyota itself, from DVLA, and some other institutions, the police, to ensure The team will be inaugurated and we'll give them timelines and the duration within which they should report back.
That's Abraham Amaliba there, urging the public to exercise caution when patronizing the Toyota Voxy vehicles, which are used for commercial purposes. There, you're still listening to News Night here on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra. We're also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi and on over 30 affiliates across the country. Pearl?
The University of Ghana and the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, are locked in a standoff over approved fees and charges for the 2025-2026 academic year, with GTEC insisting that the university must strictly adhere to fees approved by the Minister of Education.
Well, the disagreement follows an exchange of letters between the Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Nana Abba Apia Amfo, and GTEC after the Commission issued a communique on January 12 outlining fees approved by the Minister.
In a letter dated January 30 and addressed to GTEC, Professor Apia Amfu raised concerns that some items in the Commission's directive differed from decisions reached at a consultative meeting held on January 8, 2026 at the Ministry of Education. Let's bring you more on the University of Ghana's position. My colleague Michelle Lati joins us in the studio. Michelle, first of all, tell us what the concerns of the University of Ghana are according to its statement.
So according to the University of Ghana statement, there were some particular items that varied from the decisions they reached at their consultative meeting. And according to her, the agreed rates for the SRC development levy was 200 cedis, and the telecell bundle was agreed at the originally stated price of 312 cedis, with an emphasis on the fact that this is an optional service and students needed to enhance communication to that effect among their constituents. Additionally, she says that there was no discussion or decision during the meeting on the 75th anniversary levy, which is not a new line item. They explained that the contribution is towards the legacy project for the university's 75th anniversary celebration.
Michelle Lati, thank you so much for that. Well, in the past hours, the Commission has released a statement to that effect. But first, listen to the Director General of GTEC, Professor Ahmed Jinapa, who insists that the university must comply with a directive from the Ministry of Education.
But I think it needs to be put on record that the meeting that was held and the decisions that were taken were decisions that were subject to the approval of the Honorable Minister of Education. So if we had agreed to certain figures and the Minister in his wisdom varied those figures, then those become the directives that needs to be adhered to. It must be stated that for the Ministry of Education and GTEC, we wouldn't have had any issues with whatever third-party fees that are being introduced by the University of Ghana if it was not tied to their school fees. But what we've realized is that these are third-party fees that are put on the fee structure that students will necessarily have to pay.
And meanwhile, let's stay a bit on this issue because Director of Public Affairs for the University of Ghana, Dr. Eliaza Amiyal Bronya, says the university management is going to continue to engage GTEC and government on the fees. And according to her, the university is yet to decide if they will comply by GTEC's directive.
Before they register. So the position...
Yes, so the directive was just received by the university management. And I would like to place on record that the university management initially had a meeting with the ministry and they reached agreements that were not captured in the GTEC directive, the initial directive that was sent to GTEC. So they were still engaging on this. And UG was later informed that the directive was based on a decision by the finance minister, which the university was not privy to. The initial meeting they had involved our vice chancellor and our chair of council, principal officers of the university, and other officers of the university. And they reached certain agreements that were not captured in the GTEC directive. We were still engaging on that. We received a directive from GTEC that if we do not comply by the directive they brought, they will withdraw their services. Now, what I want to place this on record, that the increase in fees is not mainly from the university. An increase in SRC development levy that hyped the academic facility user fees.
Right, and that's it for News 9 tonight. But before we go, though, here are a few of the messages you've been sending to our WhatsApp platform. Nana Kuyamwa Boatin from Ablakwa Central says, I don't know why the NDC government is so fixated about bringing Kenneth Ofori-Atta, who is yet to face trials. They should first start to bring Sedinam Tamaklo, who has already been convicted. And this one also says, I don't understand these people at all. Mr. Frank Davis, let the man come to account for his stewardship. That's all Ghanaians need. And that's it for News 9 tonight. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi.
My name is Ofori.
Have a good evening.